I wanted to make a short video about georeferencing multiple sheets, because when you're doing a takeoff, sometimes you get the grading sheet as one sheet, and you can see here this would be good if you were doing a planimetric takeoff. We could just pull in this one sheet and extract the line work from the vector PDF and elevate some of it. But in this case, they also have detail sheets, which if you look over here in the bottom, there's 5 sheets that make up this site that you see on the overall sheet. And on this one, there's a lot more detail on these sheets than there are on the overall. And so I wanted to make a little video about georeferencing all of these 5 sheets into one place in Trimble Business Center. So I'm going to start with an empty template. You can see it has just my template layers in it. And so what I need to do first is grab the PDF and drop it into TBC. Now there's 5 sheets total in this PDF, and so it's going to read all those sheets one at a time, and because it doesn't know the scale of any of the sheets, it's just going to throw it into the Project Explorer down here. So once it gets done loading, we can go to the Project Explorer. Now when you import multiple sheets and they go into the Project Explorer, they're going to have some sheet names that don't really correspond to anything in your PDF. So I want to look at my PDF and I want to say that sheet 1 is C300, 301, 302, 303, 304, and 305. So those are my sheet names. So if I can stretch this out a little bit and pick on sheet 1 and open this properties up, I can actually just say this is C300. And that will help reduce the space it's taking up here, and it'll also show up in the georeferenced images as those sheets. So this one is page 2, which is C301. C302, C303, so I'm just giving this a shorter name for easier identification. This is C305. Okay, now that I have them all renamed, I can start thinking about which ones I want to start pulling in. Okay, and if I look at this PDF, I don't really want to bring this one in first, even though I could georeference all these other sheets to it. What I'm going to do is bring all these sheets in and stitch them together and then georeference the first sheet on top of it. So the first one I want to do is 301. So if I pick on it and right click it, I can say georeference this vector PDF. Now when I georeference PDFs, I don't really want it to be at a 1-foot scale and 0,0 be in the dead center of the sheet. So I want to zoom out to a comfortable scale, just say 50 or 100. And I'm going to move 0,0, which is right here, down here. So to get that sheet to repopulate in here, I just go over here and I say none, and then I go right back to 301, and then it'll repopulate in the middle of the screen. Now I can turn these off because I really don't need them now. So I'm in the georeference command here, and I'm going to look at my scale first and say, okay, 40 feet is the scale. And so I can go right to data prep with a polyline, and I can just put this really on any layer that's on, because I'm going to delete it. And if I start a point, and then over here in the coordinates, which is the northing comma easting, I can say that I want to go plus 40 feet and add the second point, and that gives me a 40-foot line. If I measure that line now, it's 40 feet. So I have all my commands stacked up on top of each other. I can actually go right here to stacked commands and go back to the Georeference Vector. I'm in the 301 and I do want to save the snap locations. The clipping boundary area here is for what you want to extract vector-wise. And so if I went to the vector image command and I just extracted this without scaling it or anything, I would be way off. Okay, so I want to do the georeference points before I do my import vectors, and I'll probably get them all in here. So when we're talking about a clipping boundary, we're talking about anything outside the box that I draw will not get vectorized. I don't want all this stuff to be vectorized. I just want my site to be vectorized. So I'll come in here and go above and outside of my information, and that gave me a point there. And now when I have match lines like this, I want to butt that sheet straight up to this match line, and then the next sheet down here I want to butt straight up to this match line. So really my bottom right, my lower right corner is going to be down in here somewhere. Now you have many different areas to snap on here. The one I don't have is a horizontal movement from there to get to the vertical X there. So I kind of want to see where it's at and see where this one is, and I think it's going to be right about there. So that's going to be my lower right hand corner of my box, and you can see it follows the match lines there. Now when I butt this one up, I'll do the same thing and match it up down here. So when we're talking about georeference points, we're talking about the pixel being what is not scaled properly, and the location is what is scaled properly. So in this case, my pixel A would be the 0 of my 40-foot scale to the first point on the line, which was my location, because this is the actual correctly scaled object and this is not. So now it goes to B. I'll say that this 40 foot goes to this end of the line, and you can see it's going to move this and scale it and rotate it to the line. And since my north arrow's up on here, that's going to be perfect. So when I hit register, so once I get that registered, it has now put the scale bar here, wrap my rectangle around it, and so while I'm in this command, I can just go straight to the next page, 302. Now if I was to pick this, it would pull it right into here. So common practice would be to move this off the screen a little bit so that when I pull this in, it doesn't come in over top of the other one. And so now this one's ready to scale. So I can say that my upper left in this case is going to be up here. And you see it's not giving me, because this is a fat line, the vectors are really around this box and not dead center where it should be. So I'm just going to kind of hold as close as I can to the center here for my upper left. And then my lower right is going to be down here, same way. I'm just going to kind of hover in here and make my horizontal cursor line be about middle of that segment. And now it's ready for me to do the pixels. So I need to find something in common with the unscaled sheet that's the same as the scaled sheet. And so if I look at this very top line up here, I think that's going to be this line. So I'll go in and I'll try to get wherever that snap is on this line and the match line for pixel A. And then I'll go right up here to that same line where it's going to snap on that pixel. and then I'll go to B. I can go down here somewhere. Now it's kind of open down here, so I really want to grab one of these lines that actually hit the match line. And so I'm going to try this one here for my B location. And that's right where this line comes in. So that's this line, which would be this line. And you can see that there is a snap here for B, and I'll hit register. And now both of those are lined up. And now I can just kind of make sure that my lines are lining up everywhere else. And those look good. And those look good. And that even looks real good. So I'm going to go ahead and trust that this is in the right scale. Now, I kind of skipped a step because when I get one of the first sheets in, I want to go ahead and measure something. But unfortunately on this, there's not really anything that gives me a measurement. And I've looked over it until I get to, you know, one of these sheets down here. So I'm going to trust that this put it in at the right scale until I get them all in. Now, if it didn't, I would have to rescale them all, but I've done this. This is my second time doing this, so I know that it does work out. So I'll go ahead and move this off the screen and do my 303, and it'll pop up in here. And now I can do my upper left, and I can follow these match lines. Now sheet 303. So now I got to do the same thing, find a common line, and I think probably if there's no, if it only snaps one good time, then I can probably use that. So that'll be that to, now this one has a bunch of different snaps on it, so I might want to actually change that. So I can go back in here to A and say I want to change it to this line instead, which is my edge of pavement line, which only gives me one good snap there, so I'll use that. And then I got to find something in common on this sheet, and if I look down here, it looks like it's pretty much going to be after the fourth island on this sheet. So let's look. So there's the fourth island. So let's see, I got this line here, which is this line here. I have an existing, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this one, and that's the line that comes in off of this island here. So identifying stuff on both pages can be a challenge sometimes, but if I register that and I look at it, now that's lining up, they're all lining up. And so I can go and move this out of the way and do my next sheet. When it comes in, I can apply my clipping boundary, which is going to be pretty much in the middle of both of these, and I'm just using my cursor to estimate where that should be. And then I want to go down here on this match line, somewhere in the middle. And now I want to do my pixels on the unscaled and do it to a location on my scaled. And so I'm looking at this line right here on this island, and so I can put it there. Now my B line, I can pretty much use the farthest line, or even this one here by that sign, because these don't overlap at all. It chops it right off at the match line. I don't have any overlap to rely on. So I'll go ahead and make that, and then when I hit register, it pops it in, and I'm just kind of checking that everything's hitting right, and it is. That's on this sheet. So now I'll go to 305. This really is just populating my properties. You can see when I pick on this over here, it is highlighting the sheets out here, but it really has nothing to do with this command. So I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, and then the next sheet is going to go to the bottom here. And when it comes in, I'll put my rectangular clipping boundary around it. Now this one is pretty particular up here, but down here, it doesn't really matter. I have to, I don't have any other sheets. Just have to get outside my lines over here. Now the pixel on this one, let's see. So it does this curve, and this is probably it. Let me do the edge of pavement. Match that up with this edge of pavement. Do my B, which is that same third line over here. So I can come in here and grab this, put it onto there, and register it. Now when I zoom in, I can check it. And now I want to check a distance. And I didn't really find anything on this site to verify my distance with, except for they have this right of way out here labeled at one instance. Okay, so basically it's going to be this sheet or this sheet. Let me look on the plans. So the next sheet says, then, so I'm just looking for a distance where I can, okay, so basically I have a 41.5 foot right of way. So I might not have anything to verify this scale with until I get this overall sheet in. Okay, because the overall sheet, it has a 41.5 foot right of way on this side and this side. That would be 83 feet between this corner and that corner, or this line and this line. So, and that's really the only thing. The other thing is this building maybe. So once I get this sheet, I'll go ahead and scale everything, or check the scale on everything. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to go back to the sheet 300, and I can put a clipping boundary around this, and I'll just put an overall clipping boundary around this. And now I can say that maybe the interior corner here is my pixel A, and that's going to match up to this interior corner up here. And then my pixel B would be down here somewhere, and the location that's going to match up is over here. And if I register that now, I can check the scale of this one. So I can pull this back down and go back to measure distance. And now I can pull the distance from the endpoint of this line to this line, and 82.98. So I know that if in fact those other ones fall right underneath this one, then it's really close to the scale. So if you hit close here, it closes the one that's on top. If I hit the X, it will close them all. And so if I go to my view filter manager, and this is kind of how I check if everything's in the right place. I know this top one is 300. So if I zoom in here and I turn it off and turn this one back on, you can see it's not moving very much, if at all. So I'm just watching these lines, and as I turn those on and off, that sheet looks like it's in the right place. I'll watch this one this time. That one's in the right place. I can watch this part this time. That one's in the right place. We're watching this area. and those don't move. And then I can watch in this area, and those don't move. Okay, so now I'm pretty comfortable with all those sheets. The next thing I really want to do is make them kind of see-through for any line work that I start to vectorize. So maybe to change the transparency here of this one to 60, and then I'll go right down the line, and I can actually hold shift probably and get the in common properties of the rest of them and change those all to 60 at once. And now if I go back to my view filter manager and I turn them all off and I turn this one on, they're all see-through to where you can see your lines. I don't need that line anymore. But now I can turn them on independently or all these sheets at the same time, and I can do my vectorizing. So that's a little bit about how to get 5 sheets stitched together and verified scale wise. Now when I vectorize these, I will have to do joining between these 2 sheets where the match line is, and also down here and down here, but for the most part this should come in pretty good. And let me standardize it.
Thanks for tuning in to Tips and Tricks for Trimble Business Center, brought to you by CISO Learning Solutions, a division of SITECH South. We offer in-classroom training, customized training at our site or yours, online training, as well as full-length training videos. Please call 404-505-8181 or email us at info@sitechsouth.com for more information. Alternatively, you may visit our website for a calendar of upcoming in-class training dates. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel.